Now before we go inside, we need to have some precautionary things.
Guys, we're all set. We're all set to go into the OT, to see the facility, to see the infrastructure, and to know why stem cell is normally finds it expensive treatment in the whole entire.
We are going into the GMP facility where the stem cells have been processed. Initially, when we enter, you can see here the blue mat, which is called as the sticky mat. We need to stand on it. Any dust which is there, it will get stuck onto it, and then inside, any dust which is there on top of us should get washed off first. So once we enter inside, the room gets blocked, okay, and clean air starts blowing on us, so all the dust gets washed off. So we'll go inside and we'll see how it works. So this is the equipment, incubator, where the cells have been grown. So you can see the cells.
That's the reason we have shown you the view panel.
Okay.
Because the view window, you can see it, how we can process the stem cell. Because all patients, their attenders, everyone wants to know how the stem cells process. To show them inside, you know how it is. You have to maintain that sterility and all. So that is the reason. See, when we process the bone marrow, we understand that it's a continuous treatment. It is not a one-time treatment. And what we do for the patient benefit, we store the stem cells in a liquid nitrogen, and it can be used for 5 years, 6 years, till 10 years we can use it comfortably. We have to put in a culture, and again we can use it. So patients required only one time bone marrow and can be used in every year or whenever the patient required. But when
Think.
it takes a lot of time to process.
So these are all the pressure gauges which will tell us the air pressure inside the room.
Inside the room.
Okay, the other room, which I think you already taken a clip, which show that room should be more pressurized than the second room.
Yes.
That should be pressurized than this room. So as we go inside, whichever door that we open, the air from inside the room should come out. The outside air should not go in. So that is how the sterility is maintained inside the lab.
Okay. It's all related to stem cells therapy, whatever.
So these are the air handling units for us to maintain temperature, humidity, the particle count inside the room, and the pressure. These are the equipments which are needed, where one of it is the inlet air, the other one is the outlet air. The air comes through this, gets pre-filtered here, and then this is the cooling section where the air gets cooled with the water, chilled water inlet, and then this is a fan section which will get blown into the room again and then goes back.
go.
So we have 1, 2, 3 air handling units.
So 3 air handling units you
Yes.
have in the center.
Because each lab we should have a separate air handling. We should not to avoid cross contamination. We should have separate air handling units.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
We have a daycare facility.
Daycare facility.
Yeah,
okay.
where we use this one for IV injections for patient
Okay.
injections and all. The
Okay.
patient will be there for 3-4 hours,
Huh.
where we can give the fluids, injections.
So
and all.
normally any woman patient doesn't have to stay overnight
No.
or for long duration. It's a stay for 2 to 3 hours.
That's all. 3 to 4 hours is a max. 2 to 3-4 hours is a max. Not required full day.
So
to
there
stay.
is no surgical procedures involved in when it comes to stem cell therapy.
No, there is no surgical procedures.
No
There is a
surgical
small procedure like how we take out the blood for the
Yes.
investigation.
Mhm.
All procedures will be like that.
It is simple and
Risk.
time saving, and of course it gives the results.
Yeah.
Some case.
What we basically use here in our center is called as adult tissue specific stem cells. So from the human body, from different tissues we can isolate stem cells, like for example the teeth, the liver, the skin, the heart, the bone marrow, peripheral blood, skeletal muscles, blood vessels, and so on. So these are the different types of tissues from where we can isolate the stem cells. Okay. So there are basically two different types of stem cells. One is called as hematopoietic stem cells, which gives rise to different types of blood in our body. It could be white blood cells, red blood cells, platelets, macrophages, natural killer cells, T cells, B cells, and so on. And other interesting type of stem cells in our body is non-hematopoietic stem cells, which are also called as mesenchymal stem cell. So these mesenchymal stem cells are of our interest because these are the stem cells which give rise to different types of tissues such as eyes, nerves, okay, muscles, kidney, liver, and so on. Okay, all different types of tissues. So these are the ones which we are mainly interested in. Okay, so basically the first major source of stem cell that we isolate is from the bone marrow. So it is basically taken out from the iliac crest, that is a backbone, using a gem study needle, and is been aspirated through a syringe like this. Okay. And the other type of stem cell that we usually have is the umbilical cord stem cells or umbilical cord tissue stem cells. So during the birth of the baby, we collect the cord tissue, we isolate the stem cells, and we use it for treatment purpose. The other type of stem cells is from the tooth. Of course, this is very minimally used, but this is also one of the source of stem cells which is used. And another major kind of stem cell source that we have used is the adipose tissue, which is basically done by a liposuction. This is how the fat has been isolated, and the sample will be separated using different techniques in the lab. As such, when it comes to any tissue specific diseases such as kidney, liver, osteoarthritis, or any brain related, then we usually go for bone marrow. Whenever the person is very obese, okay, like in osteoarthritic cases, when the patient is already obese, we get rid of the liposuction, and the fat is also a very good source of stem cells, and they get easily differentiated into cartilage. So there, in those cases, we use adipose tissue, but majorly we use bone marrow.
Stem cell, we have divided into two parts. One is called allogenic stem cell, and one other one is called autologous stem cell. What we do when a patient will have neurological disorders, degenerative disorders, and metabolic disorders or renal parameters, there we use their own bone marrow for the harvesting of stem cells, preparation of stem cells, and different routes are there for giving back to the patient. Same here, when the patient having autoimmune disorders, where autoimmune disorders means like psoriasis, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, where its own immune system is harming the patient. There we cannot use the bone marrow because the patient immune system has been affected. There we use called as UCMSC, umbilical cord mesenchymal stem cell. This is allogenic and they don't have class 2 molecules, and it is not the blood, it's not the cord blood, it's a cord tissue that we process, we culture them, we make the mesenchymal stem cells and give them number of infusions to the patient to treat autoimmune disorder, like I have mentioned, arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, autoimmune disorder, psoriasis. So now this two class I have told you what is allogenic and what is autologous. Now I'll just give you a small example. Like if we take a disease of ALS, first we take as a neurological disorder. If you take ALS, MS, Parkinson, Alzheimer, dementia or spinal cord injury, all these are neurodegenerative disorder where we use a stem cell as a regenerative purpose. That's what stem cells sometimes we call as a regenerative medication and regenerative therapy. These stem cells help whatever degeneration thing is happening in the body. These stem cells try to heal the thing which internally. Here we are not using any medication, any drugs which to treat. Here we are using patient own, because the patient contain their own toolkit in the body. The body itself can repair your entire system. It needs stimulation. So stem cell harvesting, processing in a good facility, injecting them back to the patients with a different route of injection. Yeah, see, different route of administration means what? Like a neurological condition where we need the stem cells to go to the brain. So it's very difficult to inject to the brain. So what is the safest route? We have called CSF, cerebrospinal fluid. So we give that injection name is called IT. We call as IT, and is called intrathecal injection, where a proper procedure is happened under the guidance of anesthetist, where they do an intrathecal injection for neurological cases. Now wherever the muscle degeneration happen, suppose a MS patient you consider, or ALS patient you consider, or a spinal cord injury patient, so there he inject that intramuscularly. We do muscle mapping of the patient and we give intramuscular injection, and a other route is called intravenous injection, where we give for overall regeneration of the body. So these three mainly routes are there to inject to the patient. Now we'll talk about the side effects and the benefit. See, here the stem cells we have taken from the own patients as autologous for the treat. So there is 0.0001% also side effect is not there. Most of the thing we have seen, because we always taken a whatever precautionary method. Any procedure is a procedure, but it's a very safe and very handy procedure, and it's all a daycare procedure. There is no sutures required, there is no surgery. It's just small procedures which will happen, and it's a daycare procedure where patient need to admit here for 3 to 4 hours in a day. There is no side effect and there is a good amount of benefit. Thank you.
Hello everybody, welcome back. We have a great personality with us, I should say. I worked with Dr. Nitin Kumar. He's a neurologist in Fortis, Cunningham. About Dr. Nitin. Dr. Nitin is carrying decades of experience in the medical practice. As a neurologist, he has some around more than 22 years of experience.
Some neurological disorders where we can treat with stem cells. Stem cells, as we all know that, it's the latest development, one of the developmental modalities as far as the medical conditions are concerned. And particularly in neurology, we have got a whole gamut of conditions which can be properly treated with stem cells. So if I have to highlight few conditions, first thing is stroke. Any patient who comes with stroke, we all know that how stroke presents. It's a very critical neurological emergency where patients can lose strength in hands, legs, they can be paralyzed, they can be bedbound for ages. So such cases can be very well treated. That's one of the conditions. And again, we have got Parkinson's and other movement disorders. We have tried stem cells in these cases, and of course we have seen a lot of improvement with respect to their physical disabilities or the neurological dysfunctions what they have. So we would recommend there too. And third condition, if I have to discuss from neurology side, is dementias. As we all know, patients with dementia will have problem with memory, with behavior, with language, and it's a slowly progressive, not treatable condition after a certain point in time. So these are the conditions where we can successfully treat with the stem cell therapy. And coming to other conditions like spinal cord diseases, it could be injuries, it could be any kind of dysfunction in the spinal cord. Again, stem cells have been of great help. We know that spinal cord problems can cause a lot of problems, which includes paralysis of the limbs. They can have difficulty in passing urine, they'll have difficulty in opening their bowels, so even motion discomfort will be there. So patients would definitely benefit there too. Coming to some childhood neurological conditions, the conditions which occur in the younger age group, if you take that into consideration, cerebral palsy patients have been benefited. We have seen patients, we know the CP patient, the cerebral palsy patients, where they have very poor development in many of the milestones, and they'll have difficulty in language, they can have difficulty in their physical activities. So all these things can be, certain parameters are going to be benefited. And again, the other important childhood onset neurological problem is the autism spectrum disorders. So this is like one of the conditions where we have fantastic results with stem cell therapy. Many children, we have in the recent past, we have seen a couple of kids in this month itself who have started showing some improvement in their behavior. Their attention have improved, their learning abilities are improving. So parents are very happy with the treatment. And of course, conditions like muscle disorders, childhood muscle disorders. So we call them as myopathies. The Duchenne's muscular dystrophy, the Becker's muscular dystrophy, all these genetic muscle disorders also have a possibility of being well treated with stem cell therapy. So these are some of the conditions which I can highlight if you ask me at this point in time. Of course, there is a lot of scope for stem cell therapy even in conditions like even multiple sclerosis, though it's an autoimmune disease, but still we can give cord cells. There are still scope for many other conditions. So there is always this possibility of expanding our ventures into these conditions and trying to see if some benefit can be given to the patients. As we all know that most of the neurological conditions are very devastating. So some window of hope is always something which we should consider. So these are my few words on the stem cell therapy as far as the neurological conditions are concerned. So if there's any questions.
Doc, I have just one question about the stem cells. Is there any age limit for the stem cells, like people for the pediatric side or for the adult side?
See, basically age I don't think should be a bar for any condition. We have been using stem cell therapy from childhood age till the elderly. For example, autism spectrum disorders in children till dementia in the elderly, we have tried using stem cell therapy. So I don't think age is a bar.
And the side effect, not at all, any side effects?
Side effect, not at all. The reason is as simple as this. One is the stem cell therapy. Basically what we do, we take out the patient's own bone marrow cells, we try to culture them, we try to differentiate them into specific cells pertaining to that particular disorder. For example, if it is a case with stroke, we try to take the cells from the bone marrow, try to grow them at a certain special conditions using certain chemicals like the nerve growth factors. So they'll try to make these cells which are ready to take up the functions of the nerve cells, or at least they try to stimulate the dying cells to sustain. So those things can happen. So here there is no question of allergy because it's the patient's own blood cells we are taking. So there is no risk at all. That is absolutely not there. And even when the cord blood is used, the cord blood particularly is not having anything which causes allergy. Because for allergy to happen, there is something called as major histocompatibility complex. So that particular related molecules are not there in the cord blood. So that can be used for anybody. So here the question of allergy is not there. So the reason, because of that, there is no complications.
Okay.
Now the only thing which can be a possible complication is if the methodology in how we procure the cells, we grow it in a certain condition, if that is infected, so patients may, that could be a possibility. That maybe the patient may have some fever and things like that, just because it may have some pathogens, that's all. But again, antibiotics will take care of that. But in our system, we have got zero tolerance for all these kind of even infections in the whatever we produce. The thing is, stroke patients, we are this is very clear that if the patient comes earlier after the stroke, as early as possible, the chances of recovery is better. So we say, usually within 1 to 3 months, try to come early, so that we have got lot of scope for the nerves to grow early. But it doesn't mean that patients who come later will not have a possibility. Of course, there is some amount of use, at least in some place, with the stem cell therapy, even if the stroke is quite chronic. Because this we have seen even in physiotherapy and even with certain medications, stroke patients recovering after a couple of years. Until 1 or 2 years there is no movement, and then slowly some movements can start later on. So there is some amount of reserve in the nerves, also in the brain or the spinal cord, where they can start developing the activities. So preferably as early as possible. But again, any duration of stroke, it should not be very, very chronic, like 10 years, and where there is a complete loss of cell activity and a complete loss of muscle activity. That would generally not be a very good case. That's all I can tell you. But still, we clinically judge. We see the patients. If the muscle bulk is still good, if there is some scope for improvement, then I think there is no harm in trying the stem cell therapy.
Okay, so there is nothing like extra doses or that.
Doses depending on, see, the doses we calculate basically depending on how many muscles are involved, how many limbs are involved, which are the muscles. Is it the anti-gravity muscles? Is it only the muscles involved in the fine movements of the hands? So depending on that, we try to take a call.
So it is only when you examine the patient then
we examine the patient, we mark exactly which areas are required, and then preferably we try to, this is like tailor-made. Which patient needs how many doses in which particular area, we decide on after seeing the patients. So obviously here the policy is generally we are very generous in that way, because our approach has been like such that we go an extra mile to see that whatever best can be done, we do it.
Perfect. So doc, any in the particular cases, any in the normal general cases, like how many months it takes to grow the cells inside the body when you administrate, after the administration, like after how many months the patient can see the results? He can
see, generally once we start doing this procedure, we have seen generally when the patient comes, when they come for the next visit, that is usually within a month period, we try to call them back. If a patient starts showing a positive response, these patients already start they start telling that they can see some benefit already. That we have seen in many patients, not only neurology, even patients with skin disorders and infertility and all. We've already seen that. By the next visit, they're very happy and they start demanding, should we go for another dose of the stem cell therapy? So maybe within few weeks, I think the cell growth things can